What is going on, you guys, and welcome to another video. In this one I'm going to be showing you guys how to replace your power steering hose on a 1999 through 02 G20. Now if you guys have this leak, it's most likely either going to be your power steering pump or your high pressure or the pressure line for the rack and pinion hose. So in this video I'll show you guys how to determine which of the parts is bad, so stay tuned. Before you start replacing parts on your car, you should confirm as far as where the leak is on the car. In order to do this, what I suggest for you guys to do is to turn on your car and have it on a flat surface, and you want to turn the steering wheel from lock to lock and hold it at that lock position for about 5 seconds. This is going to ensure that the fluid is getting pressurized in the hoses, and usually when that happens it starts leaking. So you want to always confirm where your leak is, because you just don't want to go buy parts and have the issue still. So we're gonna go ahead and do this. Like I said, just turn your steering wheel from lock to lock and hold it at the lock position for 5 seconds, and then check underneath the car to see if there's a leak at the power steering pump or the hose itself. So let's go ahead and jack up the car, and then we're gonna support it with the jack stands, and then we're gonna turn the wheel from lock to lock. Now that our car is nicely supported by the jack stands, let's go ahead and turn the steering wheel from lock to lock. Alright, so now let's go ahead and get underneath the car and see if we can find our leak. Now, as you guys can probably already tell, we already have a small leak down there, and that's just with moving it from lock to lock. So let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, you guys, so this is a view from underneath the car. Now, it looks like I'm leaking from the power steering hose right here, but also it looks like I might have a power steering pump leak as well. It looks like the seal for the power steering pump has gone bad, and it looks like it's leaking and it's making a mess underneath here. So for now we're gonna probably just be replacing this hose. If this doesn't solve the issue, we're gonna have to look into rebuilding that pump or buying a new one. So this is what I'm thinking. No matter what, I had to remove that power steering pump. So instead of just wasting time and replacing one thing at a time, I'm just going to remove the power steering hose and the pump, because like I said, it's leaking from both places. It looks like it's leaking more from the actual pump itself than the hose, but the hose it's not leaking too much at the moment, but eventually it will. So might as well replace it now while you're there. Before we start disconnecting any hoses or anything like that, we want to remove the fluid from the power steering reservoir, so that we can minimize the leakage as far as the power steering fluid. So I'm just using this suction thing right here, turkey base or whatever you want to call it. We're also going to disconnect your battery just to be on the safe side. So focusing our attention over here on this side of the power steering hose right here, there's a connection, electrical connection that you need to remove. So there's just a tab underneath, and then you can disconnect that. Once you disconnect that, there's going to be a fastener up here, which I believe is a 24 millimeter. So go ahead and loosen that up. These fasteners can be on here pretty tight, so what I suggest for you guys to do is get yourself a breaker bar and loosen that up. Now that we have this loosened up from up here, we need to loosen up this bracket that is mounting the hose to the back of this manifold. So there are two 10 millimeter fasteners that are holding it onto this bracket right here. So let's go ahead and remove those. For the second fastener, it looks like this hose right here is in the way. So the way to remove that is by simply just joining your guys' wrenches like this and then removing it that way. If you guys have a long wrench, this shouldn't be an issue for you guys. With those two fasteners out of the way, the hose is able to wiggle a little bit more. But it's not completely free yet because we also need to do this banjo type of fitting underneath there, so we need to remove it from underneath. You guys might want to get a catch can so that you guys don't make a mess on your garage. Now that we're underneath the car, we need to remove some stuff down here before we're able to remove this hose. For example, those two little hoses connecting to the big hose for the power steering. We need to disconnect those. Also, we need to loosen up the 24 millimeter bolt holding on the hose to the power steering pump. This was my setup to remove this fastener. I have a ratchet, a 3/8 ratchet, and looks like I have a 24 as well right here. And all I did was just put the ratchet on there and then loosen that up. And then as you guys can tell, those hoses are loosened up all the way as well. So now let's just remove this out of the way and make sure to have a catch pen underneath so that you don't make a mess. With the pressure line out of the way, now we're able to take a closer look at this clamp holding on this hose for the reservoir for the power steering. So we need to remove that. In order to do that, just get like a wrench or a ratchet and loosen up that clamp. So with all of the hoses out of the way, we need to release the tension on the power steering pump right here. So in order to do that, we need to tighten down this fastener right here. So we need to go ahead and tighten it down until we can get all the tension out of the belt. So righty loosey in this case. And this is going to be a size 12. So with their belt off, the next thing that we need to do is remove this bolt right here for the lower bracket right here. We need to loosen that up all the way. As you guys remove this bolt right here, this bracket is going to get loosened up. Make sure that the stud for the tensioner is still on top of there. That's going to keep it from falling on you. So just do that for safety, and then you want to remove it at the end when you remove this stud. Alright, so that's the stud holding on the power steering pump to this bracket right here. Now we need to remove the fastener that's actually holding this bracket on top. Now we're going to remove that stud holding on the tensioner right here for the belt. As you guys can probably see right here, it's sticking out. So we're going to remove that. And our power steering pump should be free. This is our adjustment bolt for the tension for the power steering pump. Make sure to put this back where it goes. And let's go ahead and get our power steering pump from underneath the car. So this is our pump from underneath the car. As you guys can see, this pump is not going to fit through the hole right here. So what we need to do is remove the bracket that is holding on the power steering pump right here. The way we need to do that is by simply orientating the pulley so that we can have access to those bolts right here. So we're just going to pretty much rotate it until we get to all the fasteners that are holding it on there. Those are going to be 12 millimeters, so go ahead and get a ratchet and remove them. So there's one more bolt that we need to remove. In total, there should be 3. Now that we have removed one of the brackets, we need to do the same thing to the other side. So go ahead and remove those 12mm bolts holding on this bracket. You just need to remove the top 2 bolts right there that you see. With both brackets out of the way, now we're able to remove the power steering pump.